All right, thank you, Susie. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the May 5th Conservation Board meeting, late 26. We'll call the meeting to order at 6:32. My name is Pat Coleman, sitting in for chair tonight. Our chair is out, but regardless, to my right, Matt Madison. Hello. Keith Paris, additional board members. Matt, correct?
Yep.
Matt is joining us for the Lero.
Excellent.
It's the day, but I still got something going for me, which is our one and only project to be reviewed. So we'll kick off with that. Prior to doing so, this is on County Road 41. And Matt is requesting approval to construct a 3-bedroom, single-family home, an 88.506 acre parcel.
Space?
Plenty of space.
Be able to stay away from property lines.
Yeah, keep some people away. Great.
Unique property shape too. I was looking at that today. I was like, wow,
really
that
cool.
is. Yeah.
And so we'll look forward to discussing this. Matt, if you don't mind, just bring us up to speed, kind of 30,000-foot view of the project, anticipated timeline, et cetera. We've had some time to review your notes and all the details, so we'd love to hear just from you.
Well, as far as an anticipated timeline, as soon as possible.
Sure.
We're, pretty excited to get this project kicked off. We bought this property a little more than a year ago. Our intention is, it's got about 50 or so tillable acres. We'd like to engage in some small scale, kind of biodynamic farming. I've farmed my whole life, but sold my previous farm, and yeah, we're excited about trying to do a little farming out there in kind of a smaller scale. And then I've never lived on any of the farms I've owned. We've never lived there, and I'm kind of excited to kind of glorified homestead / maybe make a few bucks raising some animals and some vegetables.
Were you in Victor previous?
No, so my old
Doesn't even matter, but just curious.
my previous farm was in like Genesee, Orleans County.
Okay.
I don't know if you know, like there's an area out there called the Mucklands.
Mhm.
It's this organic, former swamps that were drained, grew onions out there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so what sold that, my wife, we've lived in Rochester now in the city since 2018. And had our little go of living in the city, and it's been great in many ways, but also ready to not live in the city. So that kind of led us to, this whole idea.
Neat piece of property.
Mhm.
So like Pat said, we had a chance to review, but tell us a little bit. So single family home.
Yep.
So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just my wife and I. My younger son, who's 22, is living with us right now, but that's not, a permanent long-term plan, at least not for my wife and I. Yeah, so, mostly be the two of us. And wanted to build something that we can grow old in. So it's, a ranch with everything we would ever need on the main floor. Ideally wouldn't have chosen to build so far from the road, but it's a kind of a flag lot. And, really, the seems like the most suitable location was that far from the road. So that's kind of what we settled on. And we are simultaneously trying to kind of get started with farming out there. We planted a hay crop last fall, which was a little hit and miss as far as germinating and taking, but that's how it goes. And hopefully things will dry out and we can cut some hay in another few weeks. Yeah. But
So as conservation board, things that we're looking for is water, disturbing water, land movement, and trees and taking down trees. So can you talk to us maybe about the plan for those types of things?
Sure.
How you avoided it, what you need to do to.
So there was, we did want to build, and we have built an irrigation pond and an access road that gets as far as the pond right now. We did have to lose one tree to get that done, which was a little heartbreaking for us. But yeah, we're very interested in I want to try and create a farm that has minimal environmental impact, which is not what my farming background was. We were a very conventional farm in the past, but I've kind of learned some, different ways of doing things. And my 22-year-old son who's living with us also kind of is interested in agriculture and vegetable production and animal production, and he's been studying sustainable agriculture and different methods for that. So we don't plan on clearing any of the land that's not currently cleared, but we do plan on utilizing the land that has been cleared and previously farmed. It was, from my forensics tell me that it was conventional soy corn rotation for probably decades. I don't really know, but I know there was a soybean crop on it when I first looked, and you can find remnants of corn stubble, from a few years ago. So we want to definitely do something very different. But we don't have, we have no plans of clearing any of the little patches of trees and stuff you see there. There's kind of a natural drainage that kind of runs through the entire property. And, one of the things we've talked about when it comes to, this different way of farming, the old farmer in me would have said, well, we've got to figure out how to dry that out so we can, crop the whole thing. And we've decided in this iteration to lean into it instead. So, those wet areas will stay wet, and we're kind of hoping to identify like pollinator friendly plants that we can kind of plant in that area that will just be there and kind of have a little wildlife corridor that goes through those wet areas and just kind of leave them be. The hope as far as farming it goes is to do like kind of intensive rotational grazing of a couple different kinds of ruminant animals on a small scale, dozen or so animals. And then there's an area west of where that road is drawn that we're hoping to start like what they call a market garden, essentially a small vegetable operation on that side of the road.
Neat.
So no clearing even for where the home's gonna end up being?
So, I mean, the area where the home would be is currently, cleared. It's planted in hay.
Okay, yeah.
So,
Okay.
only
That's
disturbance would be what needs to happen to dig a hole for a foundation and, build septic systems.
It looks like is it on a hill then, right? Looks like
Yeah, I
maybe
mean, it's
grade there.
definitely, that's part of the reason we ended up choosing a site that far back. We kind of wanted it on a higher point,
Yeah.
just, for drainage and to not have problems with water in the basement and everything. So that's kind of how we ended up in that spot. And, we kind of also like the fact that it's behind that little like 1 acre island of trees. So it's pretty well hidden, from the road. And, given that it's just going to be a 1-story home, won't kind of intrude
You'll
much of the
probably never
landscape.
see Matt again after.
Yeah, right.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
When you go,
exactly.
when you build an amount, you just mentioned the basement. What's gonna happen with that soil? Is that gonna be retained on site or is it gonna be removed?
The plan is for that to be retained on site.
And your space for it.
Yeah, there's-
He may have to find some space.
And did they have to
maybe,
do
because-
much leveling then? I mean, are they chopping off the top of that hill
I
to
mean-
be able to?
You have to, I'm not a builder or
Yeah.
contractor. I don't really know the process.
Okay,
That's part of why I got my buddy Mike here. He's
I'm just kind of consulting, I guess.
yeah.
okay.
Trying to helping Matt get through this process. I'm a retired general contractor.
Oh,
But the house is being cited for a couple different parameters. So as you see, you'll have the leach field. So outflow to that point, we are most probably gonna have to do a raised bed leach field there. But we kind of calculated backwards on what those inverts would need to be to get to that preferred location for least disturbance for the septic. And least disturbance. So it's kind of going to be a half excavation and then use that burden to fill back up around. So it's going to minimize the amount of disturbance we have to do on the site, minimize the amount of earthwork handling.
right,
to do.
perfect, okay.
Yeah. And it's not a true walkout basement, but it's a aerial well egress
Okay.
house. So we might have to put in a couple of aerial wells depending on the final gradations, but yeah, it'll work out pretty decent.
Okay.
Your neighbors are all farmlands also, right?
Yes, so to the west, I'm assuming it's rented. I don't think the person who owns it farms it, but that's definitely currently being farmed. To the east is Bluemont Stables. They have horses and they cut hay in those fields there. To the south, is, there's a little sheep operation called Kaizen Ridge. The guy named Spittle owns the land, and I think his sister and, nephew and her son, run the sheep and goat operation there. So yeah, it's farmland, with the exception of the cul-de-sac that's been recently built, right on County Road 41. It's pretty much all farmland around there.
Just thinking about the runoff and what's used to be like animals and stuff like that, was would impact the neighbors. I think there's enough space there.
Yeah, I think it's reasonably flat, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Just
there's
from a.
a little character to it, but it's definitely not flat.
Right,
But yeah, I wouldn't call it hilly.
yeah.
You know.
Curious, any potential fencing for the animals?
Yep, we want to put up, so, again, I've never raised animals before. I was
Sure.
only a vegetable crop farmer. So we'd start small. So we are thinking of fencing in maybe 5 or 6, 7 acres, kind of down. So the property, I'm trying to get my bearings right here, east, right next to the cul-de-sac, just west of the cul-de-sac.
Yep.
That is currently a horse pasture with a few retired racehorses in it that the neighbors own. And we kind of were thinking of kind of squaring off that section, and doing a little bit, starting there. So we definitely would want to fence off 7 acres or so to do rotational grazing. And then I don't know, I'd have to kind of consult with some other farmers. I know there's certain areas where deer populations are so high that if you try and grow vegetables without fencing in, to exclude deer, you're fighting a losing battle depending on the crops you're growing. So on that, kind of western side there where we would have a market garden, we may want to put up some fencing to exclude deer.
Makes sense.
Fencing, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, finish your
I was
thought.
just gonna say, the style of fencing that we were thinking of is, like wooden posts with, either like a woven wire mesh or electric
Sure.
fencing, to keep animals in.
So on this map, where would the house be sitting? Where you-
Pretty much right where the parcel number is written.
Okay. Yeah, okay, gotcha, it's way back there.
Right behind that green blob.
Yeah, right,
Yeah,
Yeah,
just south of that green blob.
so so you've got access to 41, as we can see, they left you access, and then drive's gonna come all the way straight back there. Oof.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Okay,
neat.
Yeah.
You've owned it for about a year and a half, so.
Yeah, well, I think we got, I'm trying to think, December of 24.
Got
Right,
it.
so we've owned it all of 25 and this part of 26.
you've got the creek running through the western end there.
Yep.
But there's also trees in there, but it looks like you're not going over there at all.
It's so funny. We were so excited when we first got there and, wanted to do something. So we started trying to, kind of bushwhack some trails back there so we can go visit that creek.
Yeah,
And it seems like, you walk away and come back a week later and it's all grown back and everything you tried to do. But it's
Yeah.
I don't know what the history of that is back there. It's really thick and scrubby and, not a lot of mature trees. There's a few spots where there's a few mature trees. But, there's a lot of, wild roses growing back there that'll, ruin your jacket for sure and
Yeah.
definitely leave you a couple of little bleeds. Yeah,
That's
But-
where your deer are to your garden.
there's a lot of deer out there.
Neat.
so we talked about trees, you don't have to do much there,
Yeah,
earth movement, not
I'm
much.
guessing we'll be planting and adding. species.
Yeah, if anything,
We're not
right?
Taking any away.
And we talked about water.
Not much disruption with earth movement.
Not much disruption,
Good.
especially not on the western side where we would have, have the biggest concern. Right.
Gravel driveway.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Big
Looks like
ribbon
the
of,
lottery.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's a not a cheap one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have
Looks
any
good.
other issues with it at all. We always say that you would wanna limit the disturbance as much as you can, right? You get, put your road in there. Town's got some guidelines for that, but I can't think of anything else.
I would just comment, it's refreshing to have a single family
Yeah.
home on a lot like this.
Yeah.
Because we see a lot of, this is gonna turn into a cul-de-sac.
Oh,
Turn into
you know,
88 homes.
Yeah.
So we're, pleasing to me anyway,
Yeah,
which is nice. So thank you.
yeah, no, we're, excited to, kind of be out. It's so peaceful. We actually put up a tent. We bought this like
Cool.
kind of big glamping tent last year. We moved a full-size bed into it and everything, so we can kind of just stay out there.
Yeah, it's cool back. It's cool.
We really enjoy the quietness compared to where we're living right now.
Oh,
in the city.
180.
And there's no easements. There's nothing else on this property, right?
Right? Enjoy it.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have been so far.
Have any more comments?
Nothing else from us. We have a
Next,
resident,
next.
I'm sorry.
There's no conservation out there, right?
Correct, yeah.
No easement.
It's not
So
part of any other subdivision or
Yeah.
anything.
they do activities inside the forested area.
Yes,
But that's the plan to do. I was gonna ask if you have any future intentions of anything, any activities inside the wooded area.
Nothing other than, trails for us to walk back to the beach.
great on our end. Dave, any comment from
One
the?
question if I can, a barn? You're gonna,
So here's what I'm hoping. So these neighbors up front, who own some racehorses, we've had quite a few conversations with them. They seem great. And they are retiring. This is their last year racing horses. And so my hope is that, they only have, I think, 3 retired horses that they keep in that barn. Our hope is that maybe we could rent that barn from them. Eventually, we may want to build a barn somewhere. And, it depends on how receptive they are to that kind of idea, as far as renting. If they didn't want to rent it to us and we want to bring some animals out, I'm guessing we would, take 2 tactics. We would choose animals that are pretty hardy and don't need too much shelter. And, just from a financial standpoint, maybe, they have like fabric covered, hoop shelters and stuff like that that give, cattle or sheep enough wind protection. I don't think I would never say never that I'm gonna build a barn or wouldn't want to build a barn. That's certainly not like in the immediate plan. And financially, looking at what it costs to build a house out of necessity, it won't happen anytime too soon if we wanted to go that route. But our first choice is to, strike up an agreement with the neighbors and just help utilize their barn and pastures that they're not gonna use it for racehorses.
wish you the very best.
We're super excited about it,
Cool.
as is my 22-year-old also is licking his chops to get out there and start doing some farming. He works for Mud Creek Farm right now, which is
Oh, yeah, sure.
very close
Yep.
by. So yeah, he's excited to learn the ropes at Mud Creek and then try and do something out there in our place. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Congratulations. In good shape on our end.
Just everybody cross your fingers so gas prices construction costs can come down.
I know, right?
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
We'll share our comments with the board. No other issues from us. Good luck with the project.
Great. Appreciate it.
Y'all have a good night and
Appreciate
have
that.
fun. We'll see you out there.
Yeah. Looking
Or
forward. to it.
around, I should say. We'll
Yeah.
see you around.
Yeah, great.
Thank
Thanks
you
very
both.
much.
Have a great night.
Y'all have a great evening.
You too. All right, one last item to address, the minutes from, give me, 21. Any
Yeah.
comments on those minutes?
Not anymore. I was here, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I reviewed them and didn't have any issues. So anybody else?
Nope.
Keith, you're good? I would make a motion to approve them then.
Second it.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
It's approved. All right, that's all she wrote. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Anything?
I don't remember, sorry, anything you want to say?
Yeah, I'll make a motion then.
Motion by Matt, second by
Second.
Keith.
Yeah.
Favor, aye.
Aye.
Being adjourned 6:51. Yeah, y'all.
Yeah.
You guys can spend the next 7 hours